There's got to be, Dennis, some good positive news around.
Well, you look for it, Rob, where you can find it, and there are some things that are pluses for farmers at the moment, and fuel prices down, which is good. Fertiliser down, which is good. The fertiliser companies are being quite responsible and not storing it away for rebates. Later on, they're giving it up front and dropping their price, which is great. Interest rates are down and possibly fall further. Inflation's down, and of course, the stronger dollar. So in theory, where we are buying things like fertiliser and fuel from overseas, that with a stronger New Zealand dollar, that also should mean that it comes down further in the future. Whether those sellers of those products can afford that to happen, I'm not too sure, or pass it on. But everybody's looking at the moment at who's passing on and who's not passing on things like the reduction in the OCR with the banks, and so that sort of thing's happening. But the other thing that gives farmers a little more flexibility than they had in the last great, what I call almost depression, 88, 89, where interest rates were around 22%, that really meant that farmers didn't have the flexibility with their income. The majority of their income, or their spendable income, was going to the banks. Just grab it first, left very little back to do anything with anybody else. This time, we're looking probably about 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly up to 9% on overdraft. So that percentage of their income shouldn't be just automatically disappearing to the banks, giving them more flexibility. But certainly the banks and like the IRD, they want it straight away. But perhaps with the IRD this year, there'll be a lot of tax credits come back, and farmers will live on those, I imagine.
Exactly. Very dry, so fire risk?
Extremely dry, and as at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, Selwyn District Council imposed a total fire ban, meaning no even burn-offs with permits, just not issuing any permits whatsoever. I did notice a stubble fire yesterday as the ranger and the fire brigades and everybody else would have, I don't know how many 111s would have gone out for that one, but yeah, a farmer missed the information by a day. But in saying that, not all farmers do have texts and phones and computers and things like that, and it has to happen. The information flow has to happen, and there'll be a lot of farmers out there who did not know, and of course that's no excuse.
No, it's not. No, it's not. What are the autumn crops like? Because it is very dry, and you're putting it into dust.
Well, that's right. Farmers really, in trying to rush in and prepare their soils and things for the autumn sown crops, need to be aware of every time they touch the soil, they're drying it out, especially if it's blowing and the sun's out. It's going to disappear very quickly with running cultivators through it. So keep the roller there, be conscious, or even go the other way and go minimum till or direct drill, just to conserve that moisture. Just think of what the Australian farmers do.
Exactly, and that would be prudent because Roundup's getting a bit low in price, which is nice.
Yes, well, it's always a good product and a good choice, rather than cultivating weeds and grasses and things out, is to kill it, leave it in situ, and conserve that moisture that was there, and direct drill it. And that's the beauty of Roundup, without its residue being left behind, is to don't disturb it, albeit that as long as the paddocks are reasonably level. And of course, if irrigators have been putting great gouges in the fields, a bit difficult to direct drill.
Cluster flies.
Cluster flies look like they're an annual event. They've been with us for about 8-10 years. It came from Europe, and they found a wonderful host in our earthworms. They parasitize our earthworms, so they lay their eggs in the soil and they hatch into maggots. They progress through the soil, find an earthworm, and they inhabit the earthworm and live in the earthworm.
Ooh, sounds like science fiction.
It is. It's horrible. It's horrible. I haven't seen a movie of it, but
No.
maybe David Attenborough will come up with
Yeah, you
one.
probably will, actually. Yeah, the
This
dear
is
old
what
boy.
happens. And of course they hatch at this time of the year, and are seeking shelter before the onset of winter, tend to get into buildings high on the eaves and through masonry and things like that, and they are revolting, dozy things that are quite hard to kill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
White butterflies are bad this year.
Very, very bad. And people have said to me, what's it with the white butterflies? Why are they so bad? Well, they, of course, have found a wonderful host in all the forage brassicas that are out there, along with the grey cabbage aphid and lots of other little grebies, looper caterpillars and those type of things, because a lot of forage brassica crops are not sprayed as a horticultural brassica would be sprayed, or an agricultural brassica would be sprayed, because they're grown for on a low cost basis, and so they have found wonderful hosts there and just proliferated. But keep an eye out, there is another bad white butterfly, about a very large one. It's called the giant white butterfly, and that's very, very destructive. It's been found in Nelson, and that's one that amongst all those white butterflies, just see if there's some giant ones, and if
Extra
there is,
big ones, sort of
do
white
something.
butterfly on steroids.
Absolutely, do something about it, because they are really, really bad, really destructive. Yeah.
We've said it's dry. How bad is it?
Well, just come back from through North Canterbury on Sunday, and there's not even stalks there. It's just bare soil, and farmers have depopulated their stock, and so it's quite sad. And trying to establish crops, farmers are having to irrigate bare soil before they plant to ensure a good strike, and got to be careful coming back in with irrigation again on very, very small plants, because you can turn the soil hard. But there's a sort of a low out there at the moment, and they're talking 15 mils of rain. Well, that'll be welcome, but it needs to be over a period of time and followed up with something else, because
Nice and gentle too.
It's just disappearing just so quickly.
Exactly. What's this new velvet leaf thing?
Velvet leaf is one of the worst agricultural weeds in the world, and it's come into this country at this stage, only been identified in fodder beet seed in 2 different varieties, and it does show itself well above the crop, but it is a real problem and has come in as a contaminant within that seed. It's been found in Canterbury, Otago and Southland, so just those farmers who are growing fodder beet, they probably all have heard about it now. But just
and just
be
check
vigilant,
if you are one of those 2 varieties.
Don't pull it out. Contact MPI, and they'll deal to it, or the wholesaler of the seed or retailer of the seed, and they'll know how to get onto it and look after it, because we've got enough bad weeds. We don't need any more.
Absolutely, Dennis. Thank you very much indeed.